What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Wednesday, April 6th. So we actually have some troubling news that we need to get to. It is regarding any form of stimulus that we may see moving forward. We also need to address the student loan forgiveness and the payment pause extension that is supposed to be announced today. We got some updates on gas prices, and I will address all these things in today's video. First off, if you enjoy these daily uploads, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's get right into it, because here's what we're actually seeing. We are seeing some troubling news because Senator Joe Manchin, he has been open to the idea of restarting the negotiations on the Build Back Better Act. That's good news. That is very good news for people that want to see climate spending, increased tax revenue, and a couple of modest but needed social spending programs. Now, that's great. But the other side of all this is that, and again, this is a never-ending puzzle, because most people have forgotten about Senator Kyrsten Sinema out of Arizona and where she stands. Because as of last night, it now seems more likely that she would vote against anything that closely resembles the Build Back Better Act. You're probably thinking, well, why is this? Well, according to recent reports, Senator Kyrsten Sinema, she told donors that a path to revival is unlikely for the Build Back Better Act. She also throws out any hope that a bill would pass before Memorial Day. Memorial Day is on May 30th, 2022. Now, what you need to keep in mind is, and one of the reasons why this is so interesting, is that House Democrats are only focused on Senator Joe Manchin. They only want Senator Joe Manchin's approval. But why is this? But this might be the hardest thing right now because, yeah, Senator Joe Manchin says we need to focus on climate, right? He wants to see more fossil fuel in there. Hey, we need to see something there. Can't just go all EV. So he wants that. He wants deficit reduction, which is a big one. But these are, and again, Senator Kyrsten Sinema, even though she doesn't oppose the entire Build Back Better Act, she opposes pieces of it. And the pieces that she opposes are in contradiction to what Senator Joe Manchin wants. So they're targeting Senator Joe Manchin, but at the same time, it only takes one senator to vote against the bill, and the whole thing is dead. So that is one of the reasons why you need to be really informed as to who is doing the negotiations, who are they discussing it with, because if they're talking to just Senator Joe Manchin, the problem is House Democrats are leaving out this other very important person, a very vital piece, which is would be the 50th senator. And if they can't get her on board, then it doesn't matter what Senator Joe Manchin really wants. So it's crazy, but this is what's going on at this time. Also, this is one of the reasons why many lawmakers question whether or not they're wasting their time trying to get negotiations restarted, because are they negotiating with the right people? They're trying to negotiate with Senator Joe Manchin, and that's going to happen in the future, but they have to put the bill together. They have to create the plan. They have to understand the language behind it. And once they do that, can they take this to Senator Joe Manchin and get a deal done? Maybe get a deal done with him, but what about the rest of the Senate? We don't know. But for now, here's what Senator Kyrsten Sinema is saying. She's focused on getting the following things resolved first. She's not opposed to the Build Back Better Act. What she is opposed to is pushing it in front of everything else that is taking priority. So here's what's taking priority. First, we got the $10 billion in COVID relief. This is something that she wants to see get done quickly. She also wants to address the so-called China competition legislation and modifications to the Electoral Reform Act. Those are some of her priorities. This week, we will also likely see a vote on the Supreme Court justice, and here's the reason why that is so important. That needs to pass. And then the other thing that needs to pass is the $10 billion in COVID aid. Now, what most people don't realize is that the Senate, again, this is going to happen most likely this week. Then the Senate's going to leave for recess for 2 weeks to celebrate Easter Sunday on April 17th. Yeah, they're going to leave for 2 weeks to celebrate one day. Yeah, sounds right. Sounds something like Congress would do. So what they're saying right now is we need to get this done this week. That's the priority. Get as much done this week as we can, because if not, it's going to be put off for 2 weeks. Then they will come back to it, at the end of April. So again, there's some stuff that's happening this week, but again, it's somewhat troubling news. Here's the other troubling news. Lawmakers question whether or not the student loan payment pause is a good idea. Many lawmakers have said in the past that this is a great start. This is a great idea to help the American people preserve the money that they are making or have. Well, this was over the past 2 years. Lawmakers said this was a great start. But now what lawmakers are saying is that the payment pause has not negatively impacted the economy, so it should be enough proof that eliminating all student loan debt is the right move. This is also why many lawmakers say that student debt needs to be canceled, not pushed back. That's not the issue, is to just temporarily stop payments. Yeah, that's a great start, but how do we end this? Well, even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she had this to say just yesterday on Twitter, and I quote, "I think some folks read these extensions as savvy politics, but I don't think those folks understand the panic and disorder it causes people to get so close to these deadlines just to extend the uncertainty. It doesn't have the effect people think it does. We should cancel them." Now let's address this. First off, are these savvy politics? In my opinion, yes, these are. And she says, and I don't think these folks understand the panic and disorder. I don't think AOC understands the panic and disorder either, right? Somebody making $100,000 per year. Now, even though she's fairly new, she's still making $170,000, $80,000 per year. Does she understand the panic and disorder? Probably not. I think a lot of lawmakers are not really connected to their communities. Now, here's the other thing. It is savvy politics, because guess what? It pushes the extension up right before the election, which means the Biden administration has to do one thing or the other. Either extend the payment pause, which is probably the most likely option, or they would cancel and forgive student debt. That would be a great move right before midterm elections, because guess what? Democrats are going to be seen as a huge winner from that one, and Republicans are going to fight this. But she also says it causes people to get so close to these deadlines just to extend the uncertainty, and it doesn't have the effect people think it does. Now, yes, it would be tough to get so close. Again, we were about 1 month away, and people were wondering, am I going to have to make a payment or not? And a lot of people were struggling with that because, well, I better start saving money now. Well, now it gets pushed back. So yes, I understand that. But at the same time, should they cancel student debt? Well, if you cancel student debt, again, this was a promise from President Biden. Well, do you also give $200 per month to Social Security recipients? Is that something you do? Do we raise taxes on those making less than $400,000 per year in order to pay for a boost to Social Security? Provide more assistance to the American people? Again, a lot of questions, but we'll see what happens. But let's move over to something else, and that is gas prices. Because here's what I know. Right now, millions and millions of Americans are struggling to put gas in their cars simply because of where gas currently sits. Now, the Biden administration will release 180 million barrels of oil, and this is going to help lower the price of gas at the pumps. But at the same time, and again, this move is going to offset the Russian oil supply, which is great, right? And it keeps prices more stable. But even though this is a good short-term move, many experts are saying that the long-term effect of this will mean our oil supplies are in a deep deficit for 2022 and 2023 and 2024, which is a cause for major concern. And parts of the discussions recently have been on increasing the amount of crude oil coming in from Canada, not from Saudi Arabia, okay, not from the again, there's so many places we can get oil from, but what the Biden administration is considering is, let's get more oil from Canada. That's the key. And I know you're probably thinking, well, just open up the Keystone XL pipeline. Well, according to the White House, they say we could do this, but this would not provide the immediate relief that the American people are looking for. Okay, it wouldn't provide immediate relief, but it would provide relief at some point, right? That would be helpful. However, what we are hearing is that the Biden administration doesn't want more pipelines. That's one of the main things. No more pipelines. But you have two options. Here's what their two options are. The two options are they could transport crude to the U.S. on train, which would still be helpful, or they could increase the flows through the current and existing pipelines. The problem with both of these, so the problem with most pipelines is they are already running at near or full capacity. So this isn't a great option because it wouldn't increase the amount of crude oil that we receive here in the United States, at least not by much. However, reports indicate that if we were to transport crude by rail, this would actually increase our supply by roughly 200,000 barrels per day. But this would also be at a much greater cost than through the pipelines. And so that's one of the issues right now is which way is the Biden administration going to go? Chances are it would be over rail. It would not be through the pipelines as they're just, right now, there's not enough of a increased capacity to do so. So that's what we're seeing right now. Again, it's troubling news because this doesn't really give the American people that peace of mind that, okay, gas prices are going to come down. We are going to see our supply increase. This 180 million barrels of oil that is going to be released from the petroleum reserves. Now, that's great, but at the same time, this actually reduces our emergency supply for later on. Because what happens if Russia decides, you know what, we're not getting what we need out of Ukraine, the United States is standing in our way, let's go to war. What happens then? Well, we wouldn't have a lot of oil. So, a lot of issues, but as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on, share all latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.